Welcome to our Facebook Live. My name is Pam and it is Monday, December 2nd. And if you are hitting the link to get on here for some reason, my internet went down. Here we go. I don't know what's happening. Now it's working. Anyway, I'm here. Welcome. For those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. I spent some time with family. I ate way too much for several days, but it was good. I really enjoyed that. So if you're hopping in here, say hello, tell me where you're from. I love to see all the different places people tune in from. And today we're going to talk about how you can speak so your children will listen. Basically, how you can stop yelling. And who doesn't want that, right? Before we jump in, quick announcement, because we have a lot to go over. I'm only going to give this one. I'm working on a secret project. It's going to roll out mid-January. It is for parents of children aged 2 to 12, and it's going to teach you how to manage their behaviors more effectively. Lots of good stuff coming. You're going to want to be a part of this, I promise you. And I'm not saying any more than that. Just follow me if you don't already and tune in, because I'll be putting some posts and some reels up leading up to it. Okay, as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. And if I don't get to them during this session, I will answer them later, because this goes right up on my Facebook page as soon as we're done. And I also post it to my PamelaPalanza.com website either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Okay? All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about a couple of things today. We're going to talk about why yelling at your children is not really effective. We're going to talk about ways that you can get your children to comply so that you don't have to yell. But then we're going to talk about how you can change how you behave so that your children will listen. Because it's not just about getting your children to change their behavior. It's about getting you to change yours. Because it starts with you, because you're the parent. Does that make sense? Now, why do people yell? Well, lots of reasons. One could be that that's how you were raised. You know, your grandmother yelled at your mother yelled at you, now you yell at your children because that's just how you were parented. And typically we parent how we were parented. Does it make it right? Not necessarily. Is this an opportunity for you to change the way you're parenting? Yes. And hopefully what I teach you today is going to help you do that. Now sometimes you yell because you're tired, you're hungry, you've had a bad day at work, you're just stressed, and you just lose it, okay? Understandable. No one expects you to be perfect here. If you are a yeller and that's how you parent, to change that behavior is going to take some work. It's not going to be something you do overnight. So no pressure on yourself. No judgment here. We're just going to show you a different way to parent. And hello, Lorraine coming in, and Alicia. I'm glad you're with me. This will be very informative. Now, there's a lot to go over here, and I obviously can't get all of it in our 30 minutes we have together. So I will be writing an ebook about this, which would be part of what's coming up in January. You can get access to it then. But let's jump in on this, okay? First of all, why is yelling at your children not a cool thing to do? Well, number one, it's really not effective in the long term. It's really not effective. Here's what normally happens. I'll give you an example. You say to Johnny, Johnny, you need to put your shoes away, please. Very calmly, Johnny, put your shoes away. And he doesn't. And like 10 minutes later, you see the shoes are still sitting there. And so you go, Johnny, put your shoes away. I've already told you once, put your shoes away. Now you see how you've raised your voice, okay? Third time. Now 15 minutes later, you walk past, Johnny's shoes are still there, and you go, how many times have I told you, put your shoes away now? You've ramped it up. You ramped it. You went from, Johnny, put your shoes away. Johnny, how many times have I said, Johnny, put your shoes away? Now, why do you think Johnny didn't do them the first 2 times? Because you've taught Johnny he doesn't need to listen until you yell. And yes, I said it. You have taught your children they don't have to listen until you yell. Now, if you have a child who has headphones on and they're not hearing you, you just go up and take their headphones off or wave your hand in their face. Okay? If you have a neurodivergent child, this could be a different story, right? I'm talking about neurotypical children here for the most part. You have trained them. And now we're going to teach you how to train them differently, okay? Because yelling at them is not effective. If you remember that Charlie Brown show, any Charlie Brown episode where the teacher is the wah, 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 that's what your children are hearing when you're yelling. They're not listening to you. They might jump because you yelled and like, oh man, she's yelling again. I better do it now. But they're really tuning you out because they don't want to hear it. Think about if somebody's yelling at you. Are you listening to them? No. Here's what happens. You go into defense mode. Your brain, when you're being yelled at, that's a form of aggression. Your brain goes into self-defense and survival mode. You stop listening. If you looked at the post I put of the mother yelling at the boy, and he was like this, the fear on his face and the sadness just was heartbreaking to see that. There are other better ways to manage children's behavior than yelling. It's not an effective way to do it. Okay, when you are doing that to your child, you are teaching them that that is how you handle frustrations. Because you're the model. Remember, you're the first teacher. You're teaching them how you expect them to behave. You're teaching them foundational skills that they're going to be carrying through life. And if you're teaching them to yell because you yell, and that's what they're going to do. And let me just back up here. I have parents, followers, will say to me, I yell at my child, and my child yells back. How disrespectful. And I'm like, really? You yell at your child, and they yell back. Because you modeled it for them. That's what you taught them to do. So when you're yelling at your child, that is a form of aggression. They learn, oh, that's how I handle frustrations. And then they grow up to be a yeller, and then they yell at their children because that's what they've learned from you. Okay? So you need to stop that and teach them better ways. Okay? It's stressful. I mean, when you're having to constantly tell your children something to the point where you're screaming, you're stressed. They're stressed. They don't want to hear you scream at them. And then you feel guilty because you screamed at your kids. And then the whole cycle of, oh my gosh, what did I do? I'm a bad mother. No, we're going to stop all that for you. Okay? And then you're teaching them, you're normalizing that conflict for them. That's how you handle conflict, you yell. That's how you handle it. Just scream and yell and you'll get your way. And that's not effective. Okay, now I can't go into all of them. Those are just some of them. Those are the high notes. Okay, hey Brenda, let me say hello. Hello, Melanie. I'm glad you guys are here. I don't know what happened to my original live. Let me tell you that my internet went down right before I was ready to get on. It's like, your internet's down. I said, great. Then it was restored. So I think it just bumped over my other link that I had. Okay, anyway, here are some things that you can do to teach your children that they need to comply and listen when you speak. First thing you need to be aware of is yourself. What are triggers for you? What kind of behaviors set you off that make you yell? Is it that they're not listening to you the first time? Or maybe the second with a reminder? Is that what sets you off? Could be. So then you have to think of a plan to how you can change that. And we're going to talk about some of those. One of them being, you pause and take a breath. If you feel yourself getting ready to yell at your children, pause for a minute. Take a breath. Regroup. Try again. Calmer. My example for you. I was at my daughter's a couple weeks ago. Her kids are 3, 5, and 7. They had just come back from the store or something, and they were putting stuff all over the table. I know what it was. It was from Halloween. That's what it was. And they had dumped their candy all over the table, and they were all excited about their candy and trying to trade it off and asking her questions. All three of them at the same time. Going, Mom, 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 Mom. Have any of you been there? Right? And so she said, guys, stop. I need 5 seconds. Stop. And they all stopped for a minute, and she just went, okay, guys, one at a time, what do you need? So much more effective than her start yelling at them to stop trying to get her attention, right? It was very effective, and it was simple, 5 seconds. She just let them know she regrouped, and then she was able to go forward where they were going to listen when she speaks. It was beautiful to see. It was beautiful to see. Okay, you set the tone for your conversations with your children, so you coming in with a calm tone and maintaining that calm tone teaches them that that's how they need to respond to you. And if they raise their voice, you need to say you need to bring it down. What I say to my grandchildren who are older, you need to dial that back, please. They're 11 and 12. If they say something to me, they get a little loud, I go, whoop, you need to dial that back, please. And they know exactly what I mean, okay? Teach them how to have respect for you. Okay, you have to set clear expectations in advance. You can call them rules, I call them expectations. You need to explain what the consequences are for them if they don't comply. And then you need to follow through every single time. So do not set a consequence if you are not willing to follow through with it. It's not always easy. It's not always fun. It's not always convenient. But you have to do it if you said you're going to do it. Because now you taught your children, I mean what I say the first time. Let me give you an example. I had 2 of my grandchildren last year, Mother's Day, took them to the store to get their mother a present. They're 4 and 6 at the time, before we left. At the house, when I picked them up, I said, guys, here's the deal. When we go to the store, we get out of the car, you're going to hold my hand in the parking lot. Because there's a lot of cars, we're going to the mall, and it can be dangerous. I want you beside me. When we get in the store, you stick beside me. And you agree on a present for your mother. So if you start fighting, we're going to leave. If you walk away from me, if you start fighting, we're going to leave. And you will not get a present for your mother. You guys get that? And they're like, yes. Very calm. I explained it very clearly. Now we get in the car. We are getting out at the mall. Before we get out of the car, I said, guys, what were the rules again? And my granddaughter says, we hold your hand in the parking lot and in the store. We stay with you and we agree or we leave. Perfect. So what do you think happened? We went in the store. They held my hand in the parking lot. They stayed beside me the whole time. One wanted one thing for their mother, one wanted the other. And I said, okay, what was the deal? They're like, we have to agree on something. I said, okay, well then figure it out. And they did, and they agreed. They compromised and negotiated. They decided on one present. We paid for it, we left. And then I praised them. I guess, listen, thank you so much. You guys did an outstanding job. You held my hand in the parking lot. I reiterated. You held my hand in the parking lot. You stayed beside me in the store. And even though you both wanted something different for your mother, you ended up agreeing on something. And look, your mother's got this wonderful present. Thank you so much. That makes me want to do this with you again. Would I have left if they had argued or walked away? Absolutely. Not a doubt. I would have packed them up and gone home because that's what I told them would have happened. So whatever your consequence is, you have to decide on it and you have to stick with it. And you have to enforce it every single time. You don't go back and go, well, you know what, never mind. You each can get her a separate present. No, nope. Here's what I told you we were going to do. Here are the consequences. And I followed through. Okay? Really, really important. Model what you expect for your children. I say that all the time. Sometimes I get tired of saying it. Model what you expect. Okay, and instead of blaming your children, use I statements. So, Johnny, you've asked him to pick up his shoes. He ignores you. You could, Johnny, I told you, pick up your shoes. You're getting into the blame mode here. I want you to go into the I statements. Johnny, I asked you to pick up your shoes. You're ignoring me. I feel very frustrated when you do that. What are we going to do about it? Look at them. Now, with younger children, this will be a little bit different. You're going to have to guide them through things a little differently. With older children, you go, what are we going to do about it? Because now you're switching into problem-solving mode, which is a foundational skill you want to teach your children, right? I did a Facebook Live about that. The very first podcast episode is about problem solving. Step by step, I break it down, how you need to teach your children problem solving. And if you go back to that podcast and look in the notes section, there is a link to a free download of the problem solving chart. It is also on the website. Download that problem solving. You use this as an opportunity to teach your children how to problem solve. She said, Johnny, what are we going to do about it? I feel frustrated. And he can say, well, I guess I could put my shoes away. Great. Or you can walk through it and do some other problem solving and come up with those solutions that you both are happy with. Okay? These are teachable moments. This is not a battle of the wills with your child. I'm the parent. I say, you're going to do it right now. It's figuring out how this is going to work. Because you are the parent. You are in charge. You have expectations you expect followed. Okay? But you're also teaching your children to problem solve through it. Okay? And reinforce that positive behavior when they do it. You're so happy they did. Thank you, Johnny. If he picks up his shoes the first time, Johnny, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that. Okay? Praise them for it, because they're going to want to do more of the behavior that gets them that good feeling of your attention. Because children want your attention, whether it's positive or negative, and they will do what they have to do to get it. Okay? So if you reinforce that positive behavior, and that feels good for them, because you acknowledge them, you tell them you're grateful for it, you're thankful for it, they should be proud of themselves, whatever it is, then they're like, that felt good. I want more of that. So then they're going to repeat that positive behavior to get that positive attention. It really is simple. It really is simple. Okay. Do we expect you to be perfect here? No. So if you yell, apologize. Guys, I'm sorry. That was really not cool for me to yell at you like that. Let me bring it down for a second. Let's try this again. Because you're teaching your children. You're human. You make mistakes. You're going to try to do better. That's a very important thing that they need to learn, that you are not perfect. Right? That we all make mistakes. We're human. That's just part of human nature. And the other thing I want you to do is figure out ways that you can take care of yourself a little better. Get more sleep, exercise, journal, do yoga, do some self-care. That helps bring your stress level down so you are better prepared to manage your children's behavior appropriately instead of resorting to yelling. Because guess what? Yelling is easy. That's easy to do. Anybody can do that. To teach yourself and educate yourself how to do something differently and better that's going to serve you and your children in the long run takes some work. And not everybody's willing to put in the work. But you need to, because it's better for your children and for you in the long run. I promise you on that one. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. So we've talked about why it's ineffective to yell. We've talked about ways you can get your children to comply. And again, short and sweet. I can't go into a whole lot of detail here. And now we're going to talk about how you can change your behavior, because you are modeling for them. This starts with you, okay? Not to put a lot of pressure on you, but it really does start with you. Change your perspective. You're not in the battle of the wills here with your child. You want to accomplish a goal. So you look at it as a teaching opportunity. How can I teach my child that they need to comply with the behavior in the best way? Part of what I see a lot, and I spent 20 years assessing childcare classrooms. I would sit in a corner on the floor 3 or 4 hours and observe everything. And I would see a lot of times teachers did not understand what was developmentally appropriate for the age level of the child they were working with. Same thing with parents. I call it job descriptions. You need to know what is developmentally normal so you know what to expect with behavior so that you're not getting yourself frustrated when they're not doing something that they're not capable of or doing something that you don't like, but that's their job description. Example, toddlers. What do they do a lot? They tantrum. That's when you see a lot of biting because they are not able to verbally communicate what they want, how they feel. They get frustrated. They bite. They hit. They throw tantrums. That's very normal. That is in their job description. As a parent, you need to understand that so then you can address that appropriately. Let me give you some clear examples here. I'll never forget Mary, 1-year-old teacher. I'm sitting on the floor, and this is funny, but it isn't. It was really hard for me to watch. These 1-year-olds were all over the place. They're dumping toys out. They're climbing on the shelves. The whole floor was just nothing but a sea of toys. And poor Mary was so overwhelmed. And she had a broom, and she just kept sweeping around these children. Instead of getting on the floor and engaging and playing, she was cleaning behind them. So she would take toys, put them back in their container, put them on the shelf, turn her back, and another child would come and dump out what she had just cleaned up. And she was like, they keep dumping everything. Yep, that's their job description. They're climbing all over these shelves. That's what they do, right? So I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, what's going to happen here? Well, guess what happened? Mary went home for lunch and she did not come back to work. She'd had it. She was so frustrated. She was so overwhelmed. And those poor children, they were just doing what they do. That's their developmental age. That's appropriate for them. Fortunately, the people that owned the center had worked with her for a very long time. They just loved her. And she really was a sweet teacher. They brought her back and they put her in an older classroom where she was more able to manage those behaviors because she understood those behaviors. She really didn't understand the 1-year-olds. Okay, another example. And this is, I see parents do this sometimes. You set yourself up for failure with your children. You set your children up for failure, and then you get frustrated when they fail. Here's an example. I'm observing a 3-year-old room. It's story time. 15 3-year-olds, 1 teacher. There's a round rug. She says, find a space on the rug. Now, this rug was so small. These children literally were like up against each other. They're 3. What do you think they were doing? Teacher, he's touching me. His leg's on mine. Get away from me. Stop hitting me. Move, move. This is story time. And I just sat and watched. And the teacher's going, get your hands down. Quit hitting him. Move your leg over. Give him room. When this was all over, and I had a conversation with the teacher, I said, let me ask you a question. I noticed at story time, these kids were pushing each other and touching each other and felt like they were, up against each other. Could you explain to me why they had to be on the rug? She said, well, because that's the rug I have. This is such a simple solution. I said, well, did they have to sit on that rug, or could they maybe have scooched back a little bit to have more space, and then maybe it would have been a more pleasant experience for everybody? And she's like, well, I didn't think about that. And I said, well, maybe we could get you a bigger rug, like a rectangular rug that has more space for this number of children? Oh, that would be great. That's what we did. But do you understand? She set the children up for failure. Like you do, if you say your child, come on, we're going to go to the store, and they're tired and they're hungry, it's before their nap, and you decide you need to go to the grocery store right now, or to Target. And now your child's having a meltdown in Target because they're tired and they're hungry. And you're getting frustrated because you just want to get your shopping done. So you start yelling at the child because you've set them up for failure. You understand that? So you need to be aware of what those triggers are and when you can make the situation more effective for both you and your child so that you don't get to the point where you're yelling. Okay. Check your body language. You are talking to your child. You're mad. You're angry. Now, let's say you have a 3-year-old and they're down here and you're up here. And now you're leaning over them and you're sticking your hand up like this and you're angry. You can see it on the face. So when you're leaning in, that's intimidating. Then your fingers up. Then you're yelling. And your face is like this. And you're angry and you're yelling. Do you think that's effective? I don't. If somebody's doing that to me, I'm not listening to a word they're saying. I'm like, get this person away from me. They're crazy. Listen to them. I don't want to even be near them. I'm afraid. All those things are going through your child's mind. They're not listening to words you're saying. Check your body language. Watch your facial expression. Keep your tone calm. Get down on the eyelid of your child. Smile. Calmly explain what's going on. Whisper if you need to whisper. Keep the tone. I did a reel about this, about whispering. I think it had like 2 or 3 million views. It was crazy. All I was saying was, instead of yelling at your child, get down on their eye level. Look them in the eye and whisper. Hey, listen, Johnny. You need to pick up your shoes right now, okay? No, don't even say okay. You need to pick up your shoes. That's it. It's just to get their attention. You don't whisper everything. And you may have to do it more than one time, but it's a tool. As parents, you need a toolkit of tricks, things you can use. That's one of them. Whisper. Okay. Set those clear expectations like I told you. Be consistent. Follow through every single time. If you don't, if you back down, if you change your mind because, you really don't want to have to deal with it, or you know what, okay, you behaved, I'm going to let you slide. When you do that, you're teaching your children they can ignore you because you don't mean what you say anyway. So why should I listen? Trust me, if they can manipulate you, they're going to figure out quickly who they can manipulate and how fast they can manipulate you, and they will take advantage of it. I don't care how sweet your children are. They'll try if they can get away with it. So be clear about it. Use visual charts if you need to, or schedules, especially with younger children. Let me just say, I had my son, my daughter, and my son-in-law were all captains in the Army. And my son always says to me, Mom, everything is about processes, strategies, and organization, operations. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. So it's the same thing you kind of think about when you're with your children. You set them up for success with your processes, with your strategies. I'll give you a couple examples. I did a reel. I shared a reel. The mom had the little girl with the lights that go on the wall. And it was like lunchbox, backpack, shoes, jacket. And in the morning, she's getting ready to go to school. She'd put her shoes on, she'd hit the button. Get her backpack, hit the button. The mother didn't have to say a word. It was all set up. It was organized. It was a process. It was a strategy. And she followed it. It was perfect. My grandchildren, they come home from school. They walk in the door. They know they take their folder out, put it on the counter. They take the lunchbox out, they put it on the counter. They go around the corner. There's 3 hooks on the wall for their backpack and their jackets, and below is a basket for their shoes. They know this process. If I pick them up from school, I go, guys, put your stuff away. I don't have to say another word. They know exactly where to go because my daughter and son-in-law have set that process up for them and made it a lot easier for them. You can do the same kind of things with your children. Use charts, use lights, use stickers, whatever you want to do. Use a process so that you don't have to keep talking to them. Especially because we know when they come in from school, what do? Just dump everything right there. Off goes the backpack, just gets tossed on the floor, the jacket, the shoes, and you're like, what the heck is chaos? Start with some processes with them. Okay, stay ahead of the game. Okay, use direct, clear statements with your children. Stop talking at them so much. You don't have to give long-winded explanations. Let's say, for example, it's time to go to bed. It's going to go like this. It's going to be time to go to bed soon. So you've told them what's going to happen. It's not a choice. They're going to bed. But you can give them a choice, the illusion of one, by saying, and you do this 5 minutes before bedtime. You can go now or you can go in 5 minutes. What do you want to do? And they're going to, I'm going to go in 5 minutes. Great. 5 minutes? Okay, let's go to bed. Because now it's bedtime. They were going anyway. But it was easy. Yesterday, my son-in-law and daughter and kids were here, and it was time to go. And my son-in-law said to the 3-year-old, come on, buddy, time to go. And he said, no. And my son-in-law looked at him very calmly and said, we're leaving now. You can walk by yourself, or I can carry you. Take your pick. And he said, okay, I'll walk. End of discussion. He didn't have to yell at him. He didn't have to go into long explanations. Clear, concise directions. Done. That's it. Follow through. Okay? And then you make sure you are connecting logical consequences to behavior. So, for example, Sammy's throwing a truck as a little brother. Sammy, if you continue to throw trucks or throw toys, they're going to be taken away for the day. Got it? That's it. Now, Sammy puts the truck down or a toy down, doesn't throw anymore. Great job, buddy. I like your choice. That was a smart move. That's it. If he throws, you take the toys and put them away for the day like you told him you're going to do. He can throw a fit. He can be angry. He can be sad. He can cry. He can be upset. Those are the consequences of his choices. End of discussion. You don't have to go into all this talking that you do. You meant what you said, and you followed through. And now he's going to learn next time when you say it, she meant it. I better follow through because she's not playing around here with me. Okay? And then lastly, because we're running out of time here, you can use timers. You can use music. You can use visual cues. So quick examples here. Say it's going to be time to go to bed soon. Instead of you saying, we're going to go to bed in 5 minutes, you can set the timer, kitchen timer, and say as soon as this bell dings, it's time to go to bed. Now this takes you out of the equation as the enforcer. It's the bell. It's a simple process. You can use music. When I had my childcare home, it was time to clean up. I didn't have to say anything. I just put on this one song that they associated with it meant clean up. I would just put the music on and not say anything. And then you'd watch them like, oh, it's time to clean up now. And they would clean up. I did the same thing with transitioning them from activities. Now, you obviously are not going to do this at home, but you can use other visual cues. So if it was story time, I would put a hat on that I had glued a cover of a book to, and I would just walk around the room and I would point to my hat. I didn't have to say a word. I would just like this. And they knew like, oh, story time. We need to finish cleaning up and go sit down. That's all I had to do. If it was time for lunch, I had a hat that I had a fork, a spoon, and a knife glued to it. And I would just go like this. And they knew, oh, we need to go wash our hands to get ready for lunch. I didn't have to say a word. Okay? I even would do silly things, like I had a hat that was like a chicken, or I had a hat that was a hot dog, and I would put it on, and they knew. So I use visual cues. You can do the same thing with pictures. You don't have to say anything. You could hold up a picture of lunch. Oh, it's time to eat. There's lots of strategies you can use. There's lots of tools you can put in your toolkit that can help you manage effective behaviors for yourself, but also for your children, so that they stop ignoring you and they start listening when you speak. Okay? You have to do it every single time. You have to follow through with whatever you say you're going to do. No exceptions. Okay? Now let me see about any questions in here real quick. Oh, here's something else I want to tell you. Decide on your parenting style, stick with it, and make sure whoever is co-parenting with you is on the same page. Otherwise, you send a very mixed message to your children, and it's so confusing. Okay, it's 12:45, but I'm going to go through these really quickly here. Foster kids are extremely challenging. I'm struggling. Lorraine, I hope some of these suggestions helped. There are a lot, there are so many resources available to parents. You listen to podcasts, read books, take parenting classes. There's just so much. There's some Facebook Lives I've done. There are so many ways you can learn nowadays, digitally, YouTube, Google. Educate yourself. Okay. I need some behavior changes. Definitely good. It's good that you acknowledge that. Hello, Melanie from PA. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Hey, Brenda. Margaret, I'm struggling with my 9-year-old grandson reducing trauma-based meltdowns. Okay, that's going to be a little more challenging. And obviously, yelling is not going to be the solution there. Hello, Sharon from North Carolina. So am I. That's where I am right now. Hi, Phyllis from Indiana. Your mother was a screamer. I hated it. I chose not to scream. My children never did. You know what? Excellent, Robin. I will tell you, in my family, we were not yelled at. I mean, my father never yelled. I don't think I ever heard him yell. My mother would sometimes, but we weren't raised yelling, and so I didn't do that with my children. Now, did I raise my voice at them sometimes? Yes. And I do remember one time losing it on my daughter. She was older. But that was not the norm. So we had expectations and we expected them to follow through. So it's good. Keep your word about timeouts. Okay. Alicia, so important. If you put them in timeout, and I prefer time in, and I did a Facebook Live about that called Time In versus Time Out. You might want to go back and listen to that. But see, when you don't stay consistent with it, they're learning. They don't have to listen to you. So don't tell them they're going to be in timeout for a certain length of time if you're not willing to do that, I guess. How do you get your child to listen the first time you say something? Okay, here's an example. Go like this. That depends on the age. Younger kids, sometimes you have to repeat. Older kids, they get one, maybe second reminder. It goes like this. Johnny, you need to put your shoes away, please. Johnny doesn't put his shoes away. But you are following up on that. You're not waiting for 10 minutes to go by. You're following up. Second time you go, Johnny, you need to put your shoes away or you're going to lose 20 minutes of screen time. And Johnny's like, whoa, I don't want to lose screen time. He puts his shoes away. Or he decides to ignore you the third time. Okay, so you go, Johnny, I gave you opportunities to put your shoes away. Now you've lost 40 minutes of screen time. Put them away now. That's it. So now he puts his shoes away, but he still lost 40 minutes of screen time. Now, do you back down on that screen time? No. If he argues with you when it's time for those, okay, you've lost 40 minutes of screen time. If he argues, Johnny, here's the deal. You either get 40 minutes or you get no screen time. Take your pick. Very calmly. Johnny's like, oh, I'll take my 40 minutes. Okay? So you have to be on it. It's what happens a lot is you say something to your child and then you go off and get distracted and you don't follow through. And the follow through is on you. It's not on your child because they're a child. They're going to get away with what they can try to get away with. You as a parent need to follow through on it to make it more effective. Hello, Rosemary from Canada. Hi, Cindy, Kathy, Christy from Texas. Good. Hi, Farah from Utah. Okay, here we go. Farah, where I just said if as a co-parent you need to be on the same page, that is a tough spot when you are doing one thing and your spouse or your partner is not doing it. You two need to have a conversation about being on the same page and uniting in what you're saying is going to happen, because quickly your son is going to learn he doesn't have to listen to you. He can get what he wants from dad. And then that puts you in a bad guy position, dad in the good guy position, and that's very confusing for your child. And long term, that's going to really not be helpful for your child at all. Okay. Martha, Mamie, Allison. Okay, I think I get everybody. All right, it's 12:49. I'm sure you guys have other things to do too. I'm going to hop off. If there's any more questions, put them in here, and I will get to them as soon as I can. And until we talk next time, remember, hug and love your babies.